Hey, Fathom Church, this is Pastor Nathan Deisem. I had such a positive response from parents and grandparents this past Sunday when I mentioned one of my favorite picture storybook Bibles that I read with my own daughters. And there was such a positive response of what is that or where can I get that? I decided to make this video, which is Pastor Nathan Deesem's top 5 picture storybook Bibles for children and adolescents that I actually own and have used. The reason I say that I actually own and have used is because there might be awesome ones out there, but these are 5 that I have actually used with my own daughters, and I think they are fantastic. As a matter of fact, if I don't mention your favorite, mention it down in the comments below so that we can share between parents and grandparents and children's ministry directors what we think the best picture storybook Bibles are for kids. Let's get into it. To begin with, you might be asking, what are my criteria? Now, to begin with, what I'm looking for is a children's storybook Bible that is primarily told through pictures. So that means that I will not be showing Bibles like the Adventure Bible, which is an awesome Bible, except that the Adventure Bible is not a picture storybook Bible. It's a Bible translation marketed for kids. It has little call-outs and articles and things that have been marketed for children. The Adventure Bible is awesome, but it's not part of today's list. What I'm looking for is a children's storybook Bible that has used graphics and art to help tell the story. It can be for any age from birth to adolescence. I have a variety here. And the final bit of criteria, which is true for all 5 of the ones I'm about to show you, is that the creators really respect and treasure the witness of Scripture and its facticity, and they are trying to teach the truth of the Bible to children and adolescents through these tools. Coming in at number 5, we have the classic offering. No kids' library or room is complete without it. We have the Beginner's Bible. This is the gold standard. This is the industry standard for illustrated children's Bibles. This is a fairly old printing. When it was originally printed, it retailed for $18. At the time of this filming, I found a much newer, more updated printing with better pictures, but it's the same children's storybook Bible, Beginner's Bible, from Zondervan for like $12. It is awesome. I would say that the Beginner's Bible is primarily for literally newborns and infants, and you might be thinking, why am I reading a storybook Bible to a newborn or an infant? Well, it does 2 things in my opinion. Number 1, there's lots of studies that show that reading books to infants and newborns helps with brain development. It also helps you, the parent or grandparent or whoever's discipling this child, get into the habit of reading from the Bible for them. So I think it's a great practice. One of the reasons that I think it is particularly useful is take a look at this art. Do you see how much white space and negative space there is, how large the eyes are, and how obvious the facial expressions are? I think that this kind of art is ideal for young children, pre-readers, good for readers as well. But the Beginner's Bible is awesome, and it is my number 5 most favorite children's storybook Bible. You may also know that Beginner's Bible makes awesome children's Bible videos, and they all open with that same song that you guys might remember. You know how it goes?
Do you know how the world began? How God created it by hand from mighty men.
Those videos are publicly available on YouTube and not bootlegged or ripped off by people. Beginner's Bible has a YouTube channel, and I highly recommend you check those out. I also highly recommend that anyone with young children or even babies and newborns get themselves a Beginner's Bible. Coming in at number 4, we have the Jesus Storybook Bible. If the Beginner's Bible is the industry standard, this is the cream of the crop for infants, babies, and pre-readers, and readers as well, but I really think it shines for those age groups. This would be my number 1 pick for those age groups. This is my own personal copy. I used it extensively with Zoe and Ariel, so much so that the back cover fell off because of how much we read it. I need to get another one, by the way. I don't remember how much I paid for this, but at the time that I filmed this, I found one online for less than $8, okay? This one is amazing. What is the key difference between this and the Beginner's Bible, which I also love? Well, number 1, the art is different and very unique. I really love the way that the artist did some of the some of the work here in this book. It has more text, but this is the thing about the Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story ends telling you why this story is pointing to Jesus. If you'll indulge me, I'd actually like to give you an example of how each story points to Jesus in the Jesus Storybook Bible. You guys remember in 1 Samuel 16, where Samuel goes to Jesse's house and he's examining his sons because God says he's going to pick the king of Israel. But he's like, no, it's not that one, it's not that one. And they're all big and strong. And it turns out that it's King David, who was a little boy, scrawny, and you wouldn't expect him to be king. That's the king who God chose. Listen to these last two paragraphs from that story in the Jesus Storybook Bible. And that'll give you an idea about how every story in the Jesus Storybook Bible points to Jesus. God chose David to be king because God was getting his people ready for an even greater king who was coming. Once again, God would say, go to Bethlehem. You'll find the new king there. And there, one starry night in Bethlehem, in the town of David, 3 wise men would find him. Every story is either foreshadowing to Jesus, about Jesus, or looking back to Jesus in the Jesus Storybook Bibles. I love, love, love it. I highly recommend it. My number 3 pick would be the Picture Bible. This was originally published in 1978, and this copy that I have here is the 25th printing in hardback, which was published in 1990. It's from Chariot Books. I was looking around online. You're gonna probably have to find this one used. I don't know if it is still in print. I found what appears to be my same print on Amazon for like $920. I don't intend to sell mine, but I looked around at some other used book sites. I think I found what's the same thing for like less than $10. So be on the lookout for it. What do I like about the Picture Bible? Well, number one, it is a comic book style children's picture Bible. And the art itself is the kind of comic book style that I would say is the golden age of comics. We're talking like Batman and Superman in the newspaper in the late 1970s. I really like that. It also, by far, has the most content, the most thorough, and the most number of Bible stories illustrated than any of the other examples that I mentioned here. I really, really enjoy it. I would say that for young readers, particularly those who may be showing interest in comic books, look at that. That's from the book of Daniel, where God's hand writes on the wall for King Belshazzar, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin, you've been weighed and been found wanting. It's really awesome. I really enjoy this. Like I said, you're getting a lot of Bible in one book, in one storybook. So the Picture Bible, that's my number 3. My number 2 recommendation for a good picture storybook Bible on this list is the only one that doesn't attempt to do the entire biblical story. This is King David by Kyle Baker. It is what we would probably describe as a trade paperback comic book from Vertigo Comics, which is a label of DC Comics, which makes Batman and Superman. And it is only the story of King David. It retailed then and now for like $20. I got it for $1 at a comic book shop. I guess the owner just didn't know what it was, or I guess his clients just weren't that interested. It was an unbelievable find. Why do I have it on this list? Number 1, the art is beyond gorgeous. I would say it's almost a cross between Disney's Hercules and The Emperor's New Groove, plus a painting. So that's young David fighting Goliath, which is awesome. This is King David, restless, and then as he looks out over his kingdom and spots Bathsheba before his sin with Bathsheba and against Uriah. It's just unbelievably beautiful art. It is a very thorough storytelling of King David's life, his victories, his defeats, his pain, running from Saul, running from Absalom, some of the other things that happened. For that reason, I would say this is really for adolescents, not only because of the art and the reading level, so it's more of a comic book, you see some of the text there, but it is a very honest look at all of David's life. For example, do you remember in, what part of 1 Samuel is it? 1 Samuel 18:27, how David pays the dowry to marry King Saul's daughter, Michal? Well, that's in this story, okay? And don't misunderstand me. It's not gratuitous. I think it's very tastefully done. It is incredibly honest, and it is awesome. As a matter of fact, after I read this, I really began to think, do you know a premium cable channel could do the life of David just like this comic book has laid it out, and I think it would be a huge hit. But King David by Kyle Baker is unbelievable, honest, beautiful graphic art, also a very gritty look at David's life without being gratuitous or distasteful. I highly recommend it if you can find it, and I found some online for full retail. Finally, my number one most favorite picture children's storybook Bible is the Action Bible. This is the one I mentioned on Sunday, and people's response is what triggered me making this list. I love, love, love it. It is a very good, very honest portrayal of the biblical stories that they choose to treat. My girls love it. They want me to read it to them every night. I love reading it to them every night because it's enjoyable and a pleasure for me. You can already see this is a comic book style art of the modern era, almost like a Jim Lee or whoever is illustrating Batman and Superman today, not from like the 1970s, which I also love the picture Bible. But it is beyond gorgeous. I gotta tell you though, I was doing a little bit of research while I was making this video. This one that I have here that has this cover is already out of date. They have a revised and expanded version, listen to this, that has 25 new stories. 23 of the stories that are in my version, they expanded with more frames of art and more words, amounting to 128 more pages. You guys ever see that meme? Here, take my money, just take it. I'm about to do that because I love it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. My real reason, other than just to show off my favorite picture Bibles, was for parents, grandparents, children's ministry directors to know that I think that these 5 products are really useful. I think it probably should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I wasn't given any money to promote any of these things, as if Fathom Church or little old Nathan Deisem have reached the level where someone would pay us to promote them. I just really believe in these 5 products. I hope it's been a blessing to you guys. We got Christmas coming, so maybe some parents or grandparents would be interested in buying one of your children or grandchildren one of these picture versions of the Bible that would be appropriate for you. I love you guys so much. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.